Welcome. This is To Our Core with Katie Murray, and this is the place where we peel back our layers to uncover who we really are at our centre, at our core. And think of it as a chat with your bestie, the one who can make you laugh until your belly hurts, who is ridiculously unfiltered, and will lovingly call you forward to help you cut through the noise and get real with yourself. Around here, nothing is off limits, and we are mixing this up with equal parts humour and heart, so let's dive right in. Hey gorgeous humans, and welcome back to Our Core. I'm your host Katie Murray. I'm a life coach, I'm a women's empowerment advocate, I'm a mum of 3, and I'm a connoisseur of all the snacks. Salty, sweet, you name it, I'm a fan. And like I discussed in the trailer, where it was kind of like the appetizer, where you got to know me a little bit, this is going to be the entree, a little bit more meaty. And it's going to be really unpacking how this podcast is going to be. So it's the place where we can laugh at the messy bits. It's the place where we can peel back the masks. It's where we can truly uncover who we are at our core without all the proving and the pleasing and the performing that often we are conditioned and molded and guided to be. And how I want to start today's, what did I call it? An entree. I want to take you behind the scenes into the philosophy and the framework that underpins everything I do as a coach and everything that I will share here with you. Because while I will absolutely be giving you practical strategies and no doubt some funny, made a dick of myself stories, it's important that you know the bigger picture, the why and the how of this work and what underpins it. And let's be honest, a framework, when we say it like that, sounds very serious, doesn't it? And I don't want you to worry. I promise this isn't going to turn into a lecture. This is like the recipe card for how we can stop self-sabotaging and start living more in alignment. So let's get started. At the heart of my work is a really simple truth, and that is that I do not believe that anyone that comes to me is broken and needs fixing. You may need support though in helping to unlearn some conditioning and let go of the self-sabotaging patterns that are showing up for you in order for you to reconnect with who you really are. Because we live in a world that constantly tells us who we should be, the good mum, the high-achieving professional, the woman that works like she isn't a mother, and then mothers like she doesn't work, the dependable one, the nice girl, the fixer, the peacemaker, the list goes on. You've probably got your own should, could'ves, ought-tos, labels that are showing up in your life. And when we take on those roles without questioning them, we can really quickly lose sight of who we actually are. And we can get stuck in self-doubt, people-pleasing, or waiting for permission to be ourselves or to have some kind of approval to show up. And that's why this framework exists. It's a roadmap back to yourself, and it is embedded on 4 main pillars for me. And that is awareness, accountability with compassion, action with courage, and authenticity. So the themes that you're going to see playing out in this podcast, and if you coach with me, is going to be underpinned by all of those things. And the first pillar, focusing on awareness, is really, if we're being real, is that you can't change what you can't see. And so I want to invite you into a space where awareness is just about getting curious, not with judgment. It's more noticing. So where do I fall into people pleasing? When do I shrink back because of self-doubt? What stories do I tell myself about what I can and cannot do? The rules that we've created for ourselves. And awareness is like shining a torch into the corners of your mind and saying, oh, wow, so that's where that pattern lives, and that's why the pattern lives. So, for example, you might agree, and you're probably going to find that a lot of my analogies do focus on food because oodles, I love food. And also, it's something that we all do every day, is eat food. So this first example, let's say we've got an event. It might be a work event or it might be a fundraiser. Yeah, let's go with the fundraiser. You agree to bake 48 cupcakes for the work fundraiser. And even though you are already drowning in work and secretly hate baking, awareness is that little voice that goes, hang on, did I just say yes because I wanted to, or because I feel guilty saying no? Or am I doing it to prove something? Prove that I am something that I think other people want to see in me. And awareness is never about shame, so let's just put a full stop right there. It is about curiosity. Think of it like the detective work, except instead of like a magnifying glass, you get to use compassion, like a golden light that just descends over what you're trying to find to be illuminated. The second pillar that underpins the work that I do is accountability with compassion. Now, accountability, and I'm going to talk about this in a later episode, often gets a bad rap because we think it means beating ourselves up or holding ourselves to impossible standards. And that's not what I mean when I say accountability. And I hope that it's not how you feel. And if it is, we'll delve into that in that later episode. Because accountability should never feel like punishment or something that you can guilt yourself over or something that you can feel shame around. True accountability comes when we feel safe enough to be honest with ourselves in owning our choices and asking, am I living at effect? So am I blaming? Am I sitting in a place of complete disempowerment? Am I feeling stuck? Am I waiting for life to happen to me or someone to come and rescue me? Or am I living at cause where I'm in my power? I'm taking responsibility. I'm asking, how can I? How can I make this work? So I want to just break that down a little bit further. Being at effect, because I'll probably touch on this on multiple podcast episodes because it's a game changer. Being at effect sounds like I can't change because my boss doesn't believe in me. Like I don't get the validation or reassurance from everyone else around me that I'm good enough, so I can't change or I can't step out of my comfort zone because I don't have the self-belief of others. Or it might look like I can't say no because my friends will get upset with me. Or I can't go after the dream or aspirations that I've got secretly buried in my heart because the timing isn't perfect. Or there's some other barrier in the way and it's because of that that I can't go after it. So that's being at effect. Being at cause sounds like I may not control everything in this world and I can choose how I respond. I can set boundaries. I can take one step today. I can look at what I can do. So the how can I question will probably pop up a lot through the work that I do on this podcast, and it certainly does in my work with clients on a much deeper level. See the difference between effect and cause? And here's where compassion comes in, because when you notice that you've been living at effect, which can I say, the majority of us could probably reel off 1,000 times in our lives where we have been at effect. So this is not about, oh, I've never lived at effect and you should really pick up your socks. This is very human, yeah? That we choose to point the finger outside of ourselves at other factors, environmental challenges or people, so that we don't have to look within ourselves because that might not feel so safe and it feels easier and probably more conditioned and a nice groove and routine around pointing the finger away from ourselves. So when you've been living at effect, the point is not about shaming yourself. There's no guilt. The point is to say, okay, that's where I've been. Now, what's one thing I can do differently? Where can I step into cause in my life? Where can I choose choice? Where can I see my power to be proactive and take initiative and own my own emotions and choose and step into a place where I can regulate them? Accountability without compassion, though, is just self-sabotage in a new outfit. And you're going to see self-sabotage themes come up through the episodes that are going to be released by me, because it is the key thing that gets us like staying in our own way. That's the reality. And trust me, When we look at self-sabotage as a whole new outfit in itself, the outfit is not often very flattering for us in the respect that it doesn't do anything for us except keep us in the familiar, which our brain loves, the familiar. And that's why we get pulled into the same patterns and behaviors that we say we want to change. The third pillar that I want to talk about is action and courage. Awareness and accountability are really powerful, yeah? And without action, nothing changes. And this is where we take the insights and actually do something with them. So awareness and accountability is a great first step. And nothing will change if we actually don't do something about it. We can't just look at the same thoughts, behaviors, and patterns that are showing up and go, there it is again. Hello. And then just choose to repeat the pattern over and over again if we want a different outcome. So let me be clear. Action doesn't mean giant, dramatic leaps. You don't need to quit your job necessarily, or sell your house, or move to Bali tomorrow. Although if you're in Tasmania right now, it's quite chilly, and I don't know whether the Tasmanian weather gods have kind of got the memo that it is spring now. Come on, sunshine, anytime you want. So moving to Bali might feel quite appealing for you right now. And that's not necessarily what I mean when I say taking action. It doesn't have to be the big things. Unless that's actually truly aligned for you, in case, send me a postcard from Bali and give me a great excuse to come visit. Courageous action often looks like small intentional steps, and I'm talking about micro steps. So often clients will come to me and they will have really big goals. And so when I talk to them about goal setting, they will do the top tier, chunking up, huge, big, grand oversight plans. And that's great, and I'm here for the big goals. And it's really important for us to get there so it doesn't feel like it's all too much and it's overwhelming, and that then can in itself stop us from taking the action that we want to see. Breaking it down into micro actions of what could we do right now that would move the needle a little bit in the direction that we want to go. So it might look like saying no when you mean no. It might be raising your hand in a meeting, even if your voice sounds a bit shaky. It might be sending the email that you've been procrastinating on. It might be choosing to rest instead of pushing through. See, it's not just that I want to be confident and I want to speak to a stage of 1,000 people. You know, if you want to start speaking in public and you don't believe that that's part of your identity, which will also be a feature in the podcast episodes to come, taking micro steps towards that can be much more moving the needle in the most impactful way than just focusing on all the pre-planning, overthinking, and mapping out the big grand plan without working out how you can get there. Because every small step you take builds self-trust. And self-trust is the absolute antidote to self-doubt. Would you believe it? And I want to invite you into a space where you consider that showing courage doesn't mean that you don't feel fear. Showing courage doesn't mean that you don't feel fear. It's about feeling the feeling, acknowledging it, and then thanking your brain. Thank you very much for looking after me. And also, in order to get where I want to go, in order to get unstuck, I have to do something. And I have to do that whilst acknowledging that until I practice that new thing over and over again, it probably might feel a bit stretchy for a while. So being scared and doing it anyway, in alignment with your values. And the fourth pillar I want to talk about is the pillar of authenticity, which is such a really key value for me as well. And you'll see a lot of that shining up wherever I show up, like if it's in real life or if it's on this podcast or if it's in my coaching. Authenticity is showing up as you. not the roles that you're performing, not the version of you that bends yourself into Gumby to keep everyone else happy. Does anyone remember Gumby? Like I had one, green Gumby, where you could stretch and bend his legs. Anyway, that was a fond memory. Bending yourself into something so that everyone else is happy, it only robs you of being you. And it's most likely going to rob you of the opportunity for you to be happy. So this is about taking off the masks. And not because it's going to feel comfortable, because at first it won't. It'll feel very exposed, potentially, depending on like to what degree you're showing up as you. You know what's worse though? Just wearing a mask and performing to the point of exhaustion. You know what's worse though? Is when you perform those roles for such a long period of time that you can't really remember who you are as your authentic self. Because this is the thing, authenticity does not mean polished and perfect, as you're going to see in me often. I'm going to stumble over my words like I just did then, and I'm going to, be all sorts of messy human here. And that means I'm real. I'm not AI. I'm not replaceable. And the real you will be magnetic, and it will be powerful. And people will connect with you because that is what we're losing. So much of our Instagram feeds and what we see online particularly is so curated now. And I don't want to play into that space here. So I'll give you an example. I used to think I had to be super professional, buttoned up and serious in workshops so that people would think, wow, I should listen to her. She knows what she's talking about. So I wouldn't make jokes. I wouldn't offer real life stories about my kids trying to stick a pretzel up their nose. And it did not end up in a visit to the emergency department, just FYI. When I finally relaxed into my ability and permission to let my humor and my humanity come through, guess what? People leaned in. They connected more deeply. They trusted me because I showed vulnerability. Even when sometimes in those moments of vulnerability, my voice would shake and emotion might come to the surface. And I embraced it all. And I continue to embrace it all. In fact, episode 1, the official one that is following this, shows a lot of vulnerability. It shows a lot of the harder moments that I have experienced in life and how one of my other values of strength really was sabotaging me in being able to lean into that authenticity. Because authenticity doesn't push people away. It draws the right ones in closer. And every single workshop that I've done where I've been able to show up just as myself, authentically, messy human, stumbling over my words and not getting it perfect, what is even perfect, people would always connect with me more deeply and come up to me and go, wow, that was so powerful. I learned so much. And they retained the information more because there was storytelling as part of it and there was humanness and they felt seen in that. It was a safe place to invite them into doing the same. And when you live authentically, you stop burning out from performing and you get to live in alignment with who you are at your core. So there you have it, the framework that's going to underpin everything I do here in this space. Awareness, accountability with compassion, action and courage, and authenticity with a capital A. It's never going to be about fixing you. It is about supporting you, though, to live your most boldest, most authentic self, for you to unlearn what's not supporting you, to shift and to step into your power with honesty, courage, and joy. And if this is resonating with you, then you're going to love my brand new 6-week group coaching program, the Self-Sabotage Solution. It's designed for people who are tired of getting in their own way with doubt, people pleasing, and perfectionism, and who are ready to live that bold, brilliant, and authentic life. The waitlist is open right now. I will pop the link in the show notes. I want you to join the waitlist because then you're going to be the first to know when doors are open, and you're going to be able to take the first step towards living in alignment with who you are at your core. And maybe you're sitting there going, I don't actually know who I am at my core because I think I've practiced performing for such a long time now that I'm not sure even who I am. When I take off the hats and the roles and responsibilities and the labels I've put on myself, who am I? And guess what? We get to explore that together, both through this podcast and if you join me in that container, the self-sabotage solution. So as I go now, I want you to remember as a little reminder, I want to invite you into laughing at the messy bits, at your humanness, to take the small steps and to keep coming back to yourself, because I can guarantee you that that is where the magic is. Thanks for spending time with me today on To Our Core. If something landed in your heart or gave you a much needed giggle, consider sharing it with a friend who also may need this as a timely reminder. And go on. You know you want to. Give me a 5-star review so that this podcast can land in the ears of many, many more people. Because remember that life is too short to stay on the surface. Keep living, loving, and laughing all the way to your core. Go make life great. And if you want support around this, go to the show notes to find out more. Until next time, I'll meet you back here with more truth, laughter, and a whole lot of heart.